There we go. So I know it's going to ask you to stay in as long as I'm recording. So I will give you a second to accept. All right. Well, again, welcome, welcome. This is Crack Your Client Code. I am Nicole Garitano. I will be walking you through the masterclass today. As I said before, I am so happy to see so many faces that I know and I love. And I am just feeling so grateful today because I have such an amazing network of women and supporters in my life. And I wouldn't be doing this class today if it wasn't for so many of you that are here that have invited people in your network. So just know I am just very grateful and I am really feeling all the love today. All right. So, first, I just want to say what you can expect today. We are going to dig into how you're designed, the good, the bad, the ugly. We will look at maybe what you've been doing to attract your clients that's been working, the things that haven't been working. And I'm really gonna walk you through how you are designed a specific way to attract a certain client. And that some of the cookie cutter ways that we're taught are not aligned for all of us. It's great for us to know those, but we also need to know which ones are the ones that are truly going to work for us. And just full disclosure, at the end of today's masterclass, I will have a different way that you can work with me. Um, I am inviting you to hear about that, but it's completely up to you. When we get through this initial content, I will make sure to let you know. I'm going to talk about that particular offering. And if you'd like to stay on and hear more about it, I'd love to have you stay on. And if it just doesn't feel in alignment, you are free to go at that point, because I truly, what lights me up is really teaching people, inspiring them and empowering them. And I know with just the content that we're going to go over in the next 30 to 40 minutes, you will walk away with lots of nuggets and lots of takeaways that you can implement right away. So, who is Nicole Garitano? So, some of you know me, some of you don't. So, I am married to my husband, Todd. We have our beautiful daughter, Aria. I'm also a dog mom. At one point in time, I actually had four dogs, but these are the two that are still with me today. So, I'm a big animal lover. Love, love, love children, nature, plants. I mean, you name it. I am just like a nurturer at heart. And I just chose this picture because I love my coffee. Like, that is the first thing I go and grab every morning. And then I go to this chair that I'm sitting in that picture, and it's called my prayer chair. And I do my prayer, my meditation, and I just really set myself up for success each day with that particular rhythm. So, some other things I love besides coffee: I love a good glass of wine. I love a good girls' night out. One of my other favorite things is just I have a really strong connection with my family. I mean, I still hang out with my cousins, even though we're like some of us are in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and all of our kids hang out together. And I have that on both sides of my family. So I know not everyone has that in their families, but that's something that's really important to me. And so, just in saying that, as we move forward today, this is a completely safe place to share. I want everybody to feel comfortable. And I realize some of the things I'm going to share, because I'm going to sprinkle in little bits of my story as we go through today. Some things you'll really resonate with you, and other things I talk about, maybe triggering depending on each of our upbringing. So just know I'm really here to hold the space. And if you're feeling triggered, please just drop like a private message in the chat. I don't think that will happen, but I just want you to know I realize we all have different backgrounds and we come from different places in life. So, how I got here. So, I'm going to talk today about my practical training, and then I'm going to talk about my magical training. So, I really got here practically by I am the girl with all the degrees. Okay. Like, I just went to school, went to school, went to school. My parents were both teachers. I was not an athlete like my siblings, so I really got a lot of praise growing up through my academics, being a smart little cookie. So that really motivated me, and some of that was my conditioning, which I've learned and I've picked through. But I only share this to say I've had 8 years in the business world before. I actually decided that wasn't fulfilling. I went through melanoma skin cancer, and that really made me want to go into healthcare. I had some really amazing nurses, and I made it happen. Like I figured out a way to go back to school, and then eventually became a nurse practitioner. So I spent 15 years in that healthcare space, really caring and nurturing. Caring for and nurturing others because I just love that so much. And then from there, I went into academia and spent 8 years as a college professor, and I've been an entrepreneur pursuing my coaching business for the past 4 years. So, what you can see from all of this, I just put some pictures in because, at the epitome of my academic career, it looked like I had it all. Right. Like I was being invited to speak on these stages. In academia, that's a big deal. You don't always get invited. You have to put your name in and send in an abstract. And if you're lucky, they pick you. But I was being invited to do these things. That's me with a bunch of students and another faculty member. To anybody on the outside, it looked like, wow, she's really got it going on. She is meeting all those goals. She's doing things at a younger age than most people. And yet there was still just this feeling like there's more I want to do. Like, not everything's here. This is not checking all the boxes. And it was an internal thing because on the exterior, I mean, I really did have it all, right? Great husband, great kid, great career, great family, all the things I just talked about. And so that's what really kind of spurred me on to get into my magical training. And so this was something that was always a part of my life. Some of us call it woo, some of us call it spirituality. But really at a young age, I did have some exposure to just these spiritual aspects. I had a great aunt and my grandma and my mom who were very open minded and really incorporated like prayer, meditation, things that people may not talk about, right, to other people. um, but I was exposed to this. And so it really allowed me to be more open at a younger age. And those doors were never really closed. And since I'm a lifelong learner, one of the things that I really got into as I was in healthcare was mind body skills training. So just knowing there was science, there was evidence behind this connection between our mind, our body, and our spirit was something that I pursued, received certifications in, and I was able to use that at both the hospital and with students in the classroom. And then from there, around the time I was really feeling the nudge to get out of academia, I was a little scared. I'm sure some of you have been there. You don't want to take the leap. We're right on the edge, our foot's dangling. We just need to jump, but we don't quite do it. I was in that phase. And so I was leaving one academic position to go into another one. And I started listening to audiobooks on my car ride because it was a bit of a distance to drive to this other location. And it spurred my interest in just looking at the subconscious mind and doing some additional training on that. And so I've done this subconscious transformation training. It's really helped me with mindset for myself and also for my clients. I've also done Reiki and healing touch training. And then I was also fortunate for the past year to be part of a mystery school. And that really opened my eyes to just the feminine energy and the way I could run my business and serve others from this place of ease and flow and grace. And that has been so pivotal as I have moved into these months of really taking on my coaching career full time. So today, what we're going to do as we jump into the training, we're going to really help you define who you are, help you align to those marketing strategies that will really help you shine with your ideal dream clients. And the first thing I'll say about this is that client attraction is really an inside job, right? You probably came to this today thinking, all right, great. She's going to tell me to go do this, this, and this, right? And I'm going to attract this perfect client. But it really starts internally. And so until we really define who we are and understand who we are, we can't even begin to align to the strategies that will move us forward and really impacting the people that we're here to serve. I know everybody's here today because you have someone in mind that you want to serve. You have people that you've already served very successfully and you're wanting to continue that. And it is so frustrating when we have so much to share, our hearts are bursting, right, to share it, and we just can't find our people to share it with. And so I want to help you today overcome some of those blocks and really discover how you're supposed to show up in the world. The other thing I love is when the science and magic collide. So I gave you a little snippet of my practical training and a little bit about me, and then also like this magical side and these gifts that I bring. But each of you bring that brilliance too, to your passions and to the work that you do. And so many times we stifle our brilliance, like we won't let ourselves shine just quite as bright as we need to, because what will people think? Is this really acceptable? We start that internal dialogue, and those are really limiting beliefs just creeping in, trying to take over. So when science and magic collide, we get this whole neuroscience piece, which you can imagine for me with a healthcare background and an academic background. I'm like, oh, I love it when the science can back up the magic. Like, it is my sweet spot. It gets me so fired up and excited. So I want to just touch on quickly the conscious and subconscious mind, because it's really important. We can't understand ourselves until we understand how our brains really work. And so our conscious thoughts really only make up 4% of our thought patterns every day. And the other 96% of our thoughts are all subconscious thoughts. They're pre programming, they're conditioning, and our subconscious mind serves such an important role because in prehistoric times, it's what keeps you alive. I mean, it's your fight or flight. It keeps your heart beating. It keeps us breathing. It keeps us in that zone of being alive so we can really be here to enjoy everything it means to be a human, right? Living this experience. However, there is a side of our subconscious thought patterns that will sabotage the good we're trying to do, the work we're trying, to do in the world, the brilliance, the way we want to shine can get stifled by some of the negative thought patterns in our subconscious mind. So it's been really important to me to start to transform those for myself, and then also help other people transform those for themselves so they can step fully into their passion and purpose. So I know everyone should have gotten the prep email about human design. Some of you I know are coming to this call knowing about your human design. For some people, it may be a completely new concept, and you're like, what is this human design? What did she make me go do before I jumped in this masterclass today? And if you're catching the replay and you haven't done this yet, you can go to mybodygraph.com and you can run your body graph, and this will all make sense. So I don't want anyone to feel like they're being left behind today, because you will have the opportunity to go back and catch this on replay. But human design is really, it was really developed from these five modalities. So the Chinese I Ching, astrology, the Kabbalah, the chakra system, and quantum physics. So for me, there are no coincidences in my life. It was very interesting for me because I started reading a little bit about human design. It was like popping up in blogs and popping up in social media, and just different people that I followed probably like 3 years ago. And I thought, that's interesting. So, I went and, like we all do, Googled it. Google. We love to Google. And I started reading about it, and I thought, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but it looks really complicated. What would people in academia think? Yeah. And I just didn't think too much about it. Well, then in some of these circles I was in online and some of my other mastermind groups, women in the group started talking about human design. Some of them were getting certified in it. So since I don't believe in coincidences and everything's meant to be, I'm like, there's more to this. I need to start studying this. And so I did. I just started reading books and kind of educating myself. And then the program I told you that I just finished last year, the mystery school I was in, we actually had a human design expert that worked really closely with us. And so that was my sign then that I'm like, yes, this is a tool I am meant to use. And so with a handful of my coaching clients, I just started asking them, would you be open to this? Would you want to try it? And I just have to say, the ones that were willing to try it, once we actually had their human design and I could use that as a guide, as a tool, I could get through, we would have breakthroughs in 2 sessions that used to take 5. I mean, it was just, I couldn't make it up. The transformation was happening. And I know a lot of it was because of the tool and the dialogue that it allowed between me and my clients. And so I want you to come in with that open mind today, that this is a way to have a dialogue with yourself, with your inner self, who really wants to get that good out into the world, which is so important. And so hopefully most of you were able to run your body graph and your type. There are 5 human design types. We have our manifestors, which make up about 9% of the general population are generators that make up about 35% of the population. We have manifesting generators that make up roughly another 35%, projectors who make up 20%, and then reflectors, which only make up about 1%. So if you want to just share, I know I can't see the comments that well while I'm presenting, but if you want to share with each other just in the chat, like what your type is, it'll give everybody a good idea of, the mix that we have in the group today. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go through each one and give you kind of high level in your business, and the people you're trying to serve, what you're here to do. So for manifestors, you're really here to initiate and inform. And so these pictures that you'll see in the background that I have really show you how the types work together. So our manifestors are our initiators. So they're like the ones in a race that they take off. As soon as the bell rings, as soon as the gunshot goes off, they're the ones that take off. They're ready to initiate. They're ready to get the idea going. They're ready to show you how it's done. But they just want to do that. They just want to initiate. Okay. And we need that in our life because these are the people that are here to inspire the rest of us. They have these wonderful ideas. They're super driven, tons of energy. I mean, almost to the point where sometimes that can overwhelm the other types because manifestors will have so much energy and so much excitement around the thing that they want to start. And so they have to be mindful of that. As a manifestor, you need to know your audience pretty well so that you know how to interact with them appropriately. But when a manifestor is in alignment, they just have a great sense of peace. So that's kind of how you know you're on the right track. And then I listed some strengths and weaknesses here for manifestors if you are one. The other thing I would encourage each of you to do, we're doing a deep dive into ourselves, but also imagine the different people you're going to be working with. They could be all these different types and we don't always know. And so sometimes the way we attract our people, yes, is by our own energy and who we are, but it's also knowing what the pain points are for the different types. Where do they have trouble showing up? Where do they have trouble being seen? How do you have the solution that they need? You know what I mean? So there's two ways we can look at this as we go through. So next I want to talk about manifesting generators. So these are like the 35%. So they're a blend of the manifestors and the generators that we're going to talk about next. So they have all that energy. They like to initiate, but they'll also start to build. Okay, some of it. Now, they are the great multitaskers of the world. They have to be doing more than one thing. So if there's anybody on this call that's a manifesting generator, you're probably doing 10 other things while I'm giving this master class right now. I can see Heather. I see her pointing at herself. And that's fine. That's fine. That's the other thing learning human design has really helped me with. Not everybody can show up to a Zoom call the same way, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're not engaged. It doesn't mean they don't care about what's going on, but that's how they're designed. Heather, who just raised her hand, she could probably go back and give me a whole rundown of what I talk about when this is over, even though she was doing all those other things because she is built that way. Okay. So they're really the ones that are here to show us the shortcuts. They're going to help. They're going to help initiate with the manifestors are kind of handing them the baton. See how she's taking the baton in the picture. So the manifestors initiate, they hand it off to the manifesting generators, like run with it, take it to the next level. They find the shortcut. They get to the next runner a little bit faster, right? Than the person on the other team. And then they're going to hand the baton off to the generators. Our world would not run without generators. A lot of you on here are probably generators, and that's a very normal. I see Sarah raising her hand now. That's very normal too, to have a lot of generators. And we need the generators because, as it says here, you're really here to turn the inspiration into form and light. Okay, so you see how generators take the baton from the manifesting generators, and then they run to the finish line till the whole thing's built, till we've seen it through to fruition. They will not stop until they get the job done. Okay, so that's why we need the generators. Our world wouldn't be here without them. There wouldn't be a building built to completion. right? There'd never be a grocery pickup with everything in it. I mean, it just wouldn't happen, right? These basic things that we see and we do every day would not happen if it weren't for our generators. And so their strategy is really to respond. And generators and manifesting generators, there is quite a bit of overlap. So you can get that like feeling like, yes, this is something for me to do, and no, this isn't something for me to do. And it's okay to trust your intuition in that way if you're one of these types. But you'll be really frustrated when you have to do work that you really don't want to do. And this is what kind of happens with the manifesting generators. They multitask, they'll work on the thing till it doesn't light them up anymore, and then they're going to expect the generator to finish it. And that's perfectly okay. But the generator has to be careful which projects they take on, because they will feel an obligation to see the project through, and they will. They'll honor that integrity and they'll see it through. But sometimes they may be very frustrated and it will no longer light them up. So, again, just a few strengths and weaknesses on here. So the projectors, like I said, make up about 20% of the population. They are our natural born guides. But the thing about projectors, which is really important for them to understand and the other types, is that projectors have to wait for an invitation. So that can sound really counterintuitive to marketing, right? Or attracting your ideal client, because projectors will sit back and say, well, wait a minute, how do I attract my ideal client if they're supposed to invite me? And the workaround for that is that a projector can bring all their passion to the work they're doing right now. So, what you do as a projector is you keep building the thing, you keep putting the energy out there that you need to around the project that you're working on. And what happens, you can share on social media, share in your networks. Eventually, when a projector shares, invitations start to come. When it's right for them, when it's right for the people hearing the message, it will naturally start to happen. So sometimes marketing and business can feel like a slower process for projectors. And a lot of the strategies we're just naturally taught, as entrepreneurs, don't always feel in alignment for a projector till they figure out the way to wait it out for the invitation. So, but we need the projectors, because the projectors are really there as the coach, as you can see in this picture. So we've run the race and the projector has kept the time, and they're able to tell each runner how they could improve on their performance the next time, how they could work better as a team, because projectors really see the big picture of what's going on in the world. And so that's why we need our projectors. Moving on to our reflectors, which I said again only makes up 1%. So we could have a reflector on this call. Every now and then there's one or two that pop up in the different groups I'm in or when I'm giving a talk. But reflectors have to wait 28 days before making a decision. These are bigger decisions. If you're a reflector on here, it doesn't mean you can't go to McDonald's if you decide you want to go to McDonald's. You don't have to wait on things like that. You'll know, like, I want to eat that today. I don't want to eat that today. But really, for a reflector, it's about, if you're making a big decision, if you're making a big commitment, you need to take that time to really give yourself time to balance out, right? Not just the pros and cons, but like, how do you truly feel about being invited to that or taking on that project? And that's just really important, especially as an entrepreneur, because reflectors will naturally do things a bit slower. And reflectors will also, a lot of times, need a strong support system around them. As entrepreneurs, they will need a team for sure around them, because they just can't do it all. The way they may see generators do it, a reflector can't do what a generator is doing. And so sometimes in our world we see that, and so we try to go go go, do when we're not really designed that way in the first place. And so it's important for us that are not reflectors to understand how a reflector operates. That way, if you have one as a client, or there's someone on your team, you can really leverage their skill set and what they bring, because they're here to sense and feel the potential for others. So, like, they're the evaluators. So that's why I have, the fans here in the stands. So they're really watching the race, right? They're watching, they're taking in what's going on. You see how they can feel the energy, they're sensing what's going on. So they're either cheering on the team, right? Or they're like, oh, why did that happen? That's a good way to think about reflectors. They're really here to take it in and then literally reflect back to us what they're seeing and hearing and feeling about the bigger picture. So we just went through each of the types. Just knowing that, if you have a pen and paper, I want you to think about, based on your type, what's something that feels very natural to you about reaching out to a client? Just one idea from that. It can be really just a few words, something very simple, but was there anything we talked about around your type that you're like, yes, that's me. I can identify with that. It would feel, really good for me to be on a podcast, right? It would feel really good for me to go to a networking event. What just feels easy, like you could do it and you wouldn't put it off and you wouldn't procrastinate, but it would help you generate leads or get into those spaces where your ideal clients are hanging out. Just want to give you a minute to reflect on that before we go into this next um, part of the presentation. All right. So the next thing I want to tap into around your human design, when you ran your report, there were two numbers on there. It'll be a number slash another number. So it's important for us to know those numbers. Those are called our profile. And I also like to use those as a way to tap in to your zone of genius. Okay, so if you need to pull it back up, I know if you're on the mobile device with the website that I gave you, there'll be like a little information tab that you have to touch on your screen, and then the information will come up. If you're on a laptop, it shows up a little bit larger, but you'll have a number slash another number. So give me thumbs up. Do people have that? Can they locate it? All right. And like I said, if you need to log back in to find it, it's totally fine to do that. We're doing really well on time for where I wanted to be within the class materials. So feel free to find that. So knowing our type helps us quite a bit, but you can also see where if so much, like a certain percentage of the population are those types, we have to go a little bit deeper. There's some strategies that could work just around our type, but then this profile number helps us go even a little bit further into what we could be doing that's more aligned and will feel natural and easy for us. So when you have that number, your profile, there's the first number slash a second number. The first number is really how you see yourself, okay? And then the second number is how other people tend to see you. So this is important because most of the time when we're going to go market, right, or we're going to try to attract our ideal client, we are told to get in their head, right? We know our ideal person. Let's get in their head. Let's get in their thought processes. However, we need to know for ourselves what's the best way for us to show up. And then, secondly, how are people expecting us to show up? We could get in their heads all day long, but there's also a way people see us and they're expecting us to show up in the world. And so tapping into that can be super powerful and starting to shift from the inside, right, to produce the result we want to see on the outside. And so anyone that has a line one, either in the first position or the second position of those numbers, you're really like considered an investigator or researcher. So you are someone that wants all the details. You got to have all the knowledge, all the facts, just naturally curious. In fact, you can like love the content and information so much that other people are like, whoa, like that's out of that's out of my comfort zone to even have to know that much, because you're just naturally somebody that wants to dig deeper, to gather all the research. But because of that, you can really be seen as an authority or an expert in your field or the things that you study. And the other thing is that you're a perpetual student. So you, if it's in the first position, you see yourself this way. If it's in the second position, this is how you're seen by others. So doesn't that shift how other, when others see us a certain way, it will really shift the way we can choose to reach out to them. What content do we really need to be sharing that also resonates with how we see ourselves? So for each one of the lines, I've also gone through and just put in a few marketing strategies for that particular line. So if you have this line one, either in the first or second position, you can ask a lot of questions on social media. You need to share your knowledge. You are a wealth of knowledge. So what are all the outlets you could be sharing your knowledge in? Is it posts on social media? Is it emails? Do you need to start a blog? Do you need to be on a podcast to share your knowledge? Do you need to start networking that way? You need to explain the really complex, deep things that you know. It can't just be superficial when you have this. People need to hear and you need to share the really deep knowledge that you have. That's really important and it's part of your purpose and why you're here. And then you also have to know how to balance that knowledge that you're bringing and still show up as yourself, right? So there needs to be that balance of I can share this great content, I can share these deep like wonders and wisdom that I have, but people also need to see you just showing up, having fun, spending time with family. So always being really mindful of that balance so that you're approachable at the same time, because we've all encountered people that are like so smart and know so much, but then we just feel like we can't connect with them. We really respect it, but we don't feel that like emotional human connection. So if you have a one in there, you want to make sure you're tapping back in to the emotions of what you bring, to your work and to the world. And then really take that expertise and authority that you already have, that you have, or that people already see in you, and leverage that as best you can, whether it's being featured right at a networking event or finding a way to, like what I'm doing, share your knowledge in a master class, right? Like leverage what you already bring to the table, so that people really see you in that light. And then I think it's important when you're a one, like let your audience know you are always learning. You are a lifelong learner. You love it. It lights you up. It's something you enjoy. It's not like some taxing thing where you get up, I've got to read X amount of this or that every day. Like it really lights you up. Show them how it brings you joy, because that energy will resonate with the people you're meant to attract and work with. So if you have a line two in your profile, either in the first or second position, this is called either the hermit or the natural. So you tend to be really naturally gifted in a certain area, and you can't even explain how you're gifted in that way. You just always have been. It's just come naturally to you, and people recognize this about you. And so you'll get called upon to really share those talents and those natural gifts you have, because people want other people in your network, and in your life want you to be recognized for that. The thing about it too is that you do need alone time, and that time just to be introverted and the quiet time set aside each day. And that's perfectly okay. What you need to learn to do is that to honor the cycles of it. So that needing to go inward will start to happen in a rhythm. And so you just need to know when that's going to happen, make that special time for yourself. But when you think about marketing, once you know those rhythms, you'll know, okay, I'll be going inward, right, for a week. Schedule your posts, still stay present where you need to stay present, whether it's social media. Maybe you already recorded the podcast that somebody can release during the time you're going to go more inward, if that makes sense, because you need to honor that time, because that's part of where your natural genius comes from. When you take that time to be quiet, you get even more ideas, right? That then you want to bring when you come out, from that time of solitude. So keep that in mind, that it's really important to honor that and to build that in. And the other thing is, you are someone that you just know things. So you just have like this natural intuition about other people, about things going on around you, your environment. It's just a strong inner knowing. So honoring that, if you get an intuitive hit that, hey, I think I should make a post about this, or I think I should reach out to so and so because there's somebody I want to work with, that's actually something you should do. That's part of your zone of genius. You're probably contacting them at just the right time when they wanted to hear from you. So if you have this too in your profile, these are some of your marketing strategies. So again, like really tap into what are those things that come naturally to you that nobody else can do, right? Or you may think they're no big deal, but what are the things other people are always recognizing you for or calling out, in your work? Start to really leverage that and promote them. Promote them however you can. Leverage your network because they're the ones recognizing you. How can you reach out to those people that recognize you and then ask for testimonials from them? Ask for invites and introductions. That's a great way to a lot of times meet our ideal clients, and we don't always think about that, or we don't think about like actually asking the question, right? Asking the people that already exist to support us in that way. And then something else you can do is when you take that quiet time as a two, give your audience a glimpse into that. What does that look like for you? What are you doing in that quiet time? Because they're still curious. They want to know what happens when you kind of disappear, you know what I mean, for a little bit. And so when you share a little bit of what you're doing in that quiet time, you keep them engaged. You keep them wanting to like come back, for a little more, like, that's interesting. They're waiting for you to come out of your quiet time and hear from you again. And so I already said this, make sure that you don't market when you're taking your quiet time. Make sure that's scheduled ahead of time. And then use that inner knowing, like I was saying before, schedule discovery calls to connect with people. You have that deep knowing, you can see people really deeply. So if you get the nudge that there's a certain person you need to talk to, then you need to go do it. It's not always about the quantity of the people we attract, it's about the quality of the people we attract. And with this two in here, you're going to know who you need to work with pretty quickly once you meet them. Okay, so if you have a line three, you are considered a martyr or the experimenter. So you really love to learn by doing. You're going to be a hands on person. You're going to be adventurous out there in life. You know what I mean? Like having all the experiences, doing all the things. Sometimes you'll get a little discombobulated if things don't work out, the way you thought. But you'll bounce back quickly because you're really a natural inventor. So, like, if one way didn't work, then you're going to try another way. So, having a line three in your profile is awesome when you think about attracting your ideal client and marketing, because you're just never going to give up. Like, you're going to try every way. You're going to keep trying. You're going to tweak. You will try and try and try until you get that perfect formula, right? That gets you in front of your ideal client. So, really leaning into that you like trial and error, that you like to create something new. You don't really see failure. You only see like discovery and figuring things out. And the other thing about people with a line three, you're just naturally a very likable personality in person. So you have that on your side in terms of attracting ideal clients. So the big strategies for line threes are that, you know, since we use social media so much, can you capture yourself in the doing of work and life and share that with your audience? So A lot of times we're told do videos of us. What if you did a video like showing them what you're doing? Set it up, show them the hands-on doing of your craft if it's something you do hands-on, almost like a behind the scenes look. That's going to be such a natural thing for you to do as a three, and people that are meant to work with you are going to love to see that. Okay. And then again, just taking those things that don't work and tweaking them, that feeds your mind in such a way that it doesn't feed other people's minds, that you'll be like amazed with the discoveries that come through, as you look at what's worked and what hasn't worked. And, you'll almost like invent like your own way where you've taken different pieces of strategies that you've learned and like created your own strategy out of it, that then you could go teach in a master class like this at some point in the future for all the people with a three in there. And then like really leverage your likability. If you're naturally likable, then you should be asking for referrals. You should be directly reaching out, to your ideal clients, because they probably already like you. They've already been watching you. They probably already want to be in your world in some way if they haven't reached out, on their own. And so the line fours, these are our opportunists or relationship masters. So for people with a line four, connections are everything. Like they love sharing ideas, they like networking, they love introducing people to each other that they think could benefit, from the introduction. Like think about it as like the ultimate matchmaker. That's what a line four is all about. And so line fours also like easily receive invitations because they're in that network of people. They have a really strong foundation there. They do like to be prepared and they like things to run pretty smoothly, on a day-to-day basis. But line fours will be super influential, and they're very good communicators. So if you have the line four, the first thing you need to do is leverage that network. Leverage, leverage, leverage your network. You have a big network for a reason. You're able to make these connections easily. So you may not need to do as much as the traditional, marketing. You may be able to reach out to people in your circle. Sharing your ideas, but also highlighting the ideas of others because you love your network so much is super, super important, for a line four. So giving a shout out, right, to other people in your network, helping promote them, will feel very natural, but it also attracts people back to you. So a line four should definitely be at networking events. They should be asking for the invitations where they know they can have influence. So being very strategic about what's going on, the people in their circles that are hosting events. Is there a way for you to be part of that event? Really thinking about it more from that mindset. A line four is going to be really good at borrowing other people's audiences, so being on the podcast, being a speaker, at an event. But because they like planning, they will probably really need like a weekly or monthly plan to how they're going to do this because they like to know it's stable. They like to be prepared. In the event they might get called on, to speak, they'll ask for the invitation and get it. And then they'll be like, oh, but what am I going to talk about? So just having like a little arsenal of material is really important, if you're a line four. So our line fives, this is the heretic or the messenger. So you are like here to find solutions for the masses. Okay. And you like to, these are like large scale solutions that somebody with a line five, it's not just going to be a solution you create for one person. Like these are solutions that are meant to have a huge impact. And so you're really like a disruptive innovator and you love to challenge the norms. So people with a line five, sometimes they're the people that, if you're in a group with someone that has a line five, they're like the ones that can be triggering sometimes, um, to the other lines and the other types. So if you're a manifesting generator or a manifestor with a line five, you may have to really reel it in and know your audience, or you may be triggering them like left and right and scaring the you know what out of them. Um, and so you don't want to repel anybody without meaning to. And so sometimes just knowing these things can really help us like with our messaging, and how we want to present ourselves. But the thing is, if you have this line five, once you get your people in, you are going to create fantastic solutions for them. They are going to be doing things like they've never done them before. You know what I mean? They're gonna be showing up in a way that they've never shown up before once you're able to have your influence over them. Well, the other thing line fives have going for them is that they have these attractive, magical personalities. So even though you may be triggering to certain people or certain other human design types, there's also like this little part of everybody that's like, ooh, what is she or he gonna say next? Oh, I'm just watching. Oh, I just can't wait. It's like that, you know, like little addiction. Like you just gotta, you just are waiting. What's the next thing they're gonna do? How are they gonna push the envelope? It's almost like people want to live a little bit vicariously through you because you have that confidence that maybe they lack. So, as we think about attracting people, you really want to focus on marketing the solution. So, really making them feel like they're already in the solution. They're already living life with the solution that you provide. Create lots of excitement in your social media posts, in the videos that you're making, because you do challenge those norms. You do show up with an edge that maybe other people don't. So, really use that to your advantage. Highlight your innovation or how you're different. Let those differences like really shine. It's so important. And then you're like really going to be successful in using Facebook groups, Clubhouse, where you can get like a really big audience and just like drop idea bombs on them like all day long that they could have never come up with themselves, solutions that they could have never come up with themselves. And so, since you have that personality, that people get a little bit addicted to, you're great for hosting a podcast, also being a guest on a podcast. And so our final line is line six. This one is a little bit different. So the line six is the role model or the Buddha. And if you have a line six in your profile, your life's divided into three phases. And so from birth to about 30 years old, you go through experiencing life, experimenting. So this could be like lots of different friends as you're growing up, maybe different jobs, throughout your 20s, maybe different education and schooling. You'll have wonderful experiences. You may have not so wonderful experiences. But the whole point of that is that you're just taking in all of life and you're having all these experiences because they're going to influence your path later. So when you get to ages 30 to 50, you really start to slow down because you've had all these experiences and you start to hone in on what you really want to master as your craft. And so you go through this time of like being really introspective, reflective, some healing may go on that needs to happen because of the experiences you've had in your first 30 years of life. And really, once you hit 50, until we are no longer, here in this life, you start to become the role model. You are the wise guide. You take all the knowledge from these other phases of your life, and you are now ready to share that with others. And you have a really deep sense of mission around doing this. It's so important to you. And the thing is, by the time you get to that third phase, it just flows easily. Like you just do it. You just get into a conversation with one person and you're influencing them. It doesn't take a lot of work or a lot of thinking or a lot of crafting. By the time you get to that point, the people that need to hear you are here to hear you. So when we think, this is a different one to think about in terms of our marketing strategies, because if you have a line six, your marketing is going to vary depending on which phase of your life you're in, right? So depending on which age group you're falling under right now will really influence how you want to show up. But the important thing about the six is to remember, if it's in the first position, it's how you see yourself. If it's in the second position, even if you don't recognize this about yourself right now, this is how other people see you. So just knowing that can help you, again, kind of fine tune what you bring to the table, having a line six in your profile. So, sharing your life experience, like sharing the good, sharing the bad, sharing the positive, sharing the negative, like just being really raw in some of the sharing will be really effective. Of course, knowing your audience and the right forum to do that in, also really highlight your wisdom. And it's okay to position yourself as that wise teacher and guide. Whether it's through your training, whether it's through life experience, a combination of both, those will be really important. Sharing that really deep wisdom that you have on podcasts or at events, is pivotal. And also, like a line six would be everyone can write a book, but a line six will be naturally predisposed to wanting to write a book to really share their wisdom with the masses and reach a lot of people all at once. So I know I've dropped tons of information just in the first part here of the masterclass. I want to answer any questions that you have now around subconscious, conscious thoughts, your type, your profile. Feel free to unmute if you want. If we have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Nicole, it's Monica. I just wonder if, like, I did the body design, got the numbers, but just there were some numbers that I identified strongly with as well, in addition to the ones that I got given. Any suggestions about what to do with that? Just notice it, or just anyway? Thanks.
No, that's a great question. So, and I love that you asked that, because a lot of times that happens. We can identify with those. My question is, I would probably, if we were working one-on-one, I would ask you more deeply, why do you identify with it? And a lot of times what comes up for clients when we go into that is, well, because I was taught that, or I was taught to be that way. And so that is what happens. I mean, these numbers as a tool really let you know on a much higher level what you're really here to do and express, and what's happened to all of us. Like, there's no human that hasn't been conditioned in some way. We are raised a certain way, we live in a certain society, we are taught there are certain ways to do things. And so even though you could identify with the other ones, I would probably ask you, does that feel easy though, or do you like to operate that way? And you may say, no, actually, I don't. That doesn't always feel good. I just can relate to it because I've tried to do it. And so, a lot of what I'm trying to teach today is, how do you reimagine? How do you rethink the way you're approaching clients, or the way you're approaching your business, so that it's easy and it comes from your natural gifting and the things that you really love to do that light you up, instead of from a place of, I have to, I should, I was told, if that helps.
Thank you so much. It does.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions?
I know when I did this initially, I didn't have my time of birth. And so I just kind of put in a random time and just went, well, I know it was the morning, so I'll just put whatever. And then I actually found my birth certificate with the time of birth on it. And when I did that, it changed what I was. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like sometimes, or I mean, on some people, like not having the exact time.
Yes. The exact time is really important. I get that question a lot. So I'll be really honest. Sometimes it makes a slight difference. Sometimes, like in your case, it totally changed, some of the information. So in using human design as a tool, or like as an adjunct to my coaching, or things I'm trying to, help female entrepreneurs with, I like to have the exact time, honestly, because when you go deeper into human design and all the different elements, it can throw off some of those. And each layer just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And anyone on here that's gone really deep into their human design, I know I have some of my friendly human design faces on here. I mean, it is like earth shattering sometimes what gets uncovered, the dots you start connecting. I mean, I had a client session just this morning, and one of the things she said was, oh my gosh, it's like I can now, like, I can just be me. This all makes sense now. I was told for years, oh, why do you act that way? Why do you do that? She's like, and now it's like I have permission to be me. And so I think to have like the breakthroughs around it and to use it most effectively as a tool, yes, the exact birth time is super important. If you're just using it to be more like, oh, I know my type, and to have general conversation more in a social circle, then I think you're okay to be somewhere in that range and see what you most identify with. But to do the deep work with it, you would need to have your birth time. So thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions?
I'm still working on my birth time. I know I reached out to you. So Holly, I'm in the same boat, but
Yeah.
we're having issues with my birth time here.
So, worst case scenario, if you live in the United States, you can request an official copy of your birth certificate if you don't have one, because all the birth certificates in the US will have the time of birth. Depending on which country you live in, then it gets a little dicey because not everyone reports the birth information the same from country to country.
I actually called Ohio this morning and I was like, hey, I don't need a certified copy or anything. I just need to know the time. And they just told me over the phone.
Oh, perfect.
So
Even better.
like the vital statistics department, you don't have to pay for it because again, we weren't needing it certified. So it was super easy.
Nice. All right, that's good information. See, I learned whenever I host things like this, I learn so much too. So now I can tell people that live in the US just to call and ask and they'll tell you. All right.
Nicole, how are these numbers determined? Like what's the significance of the 6-2 or not the significance because we just went through that, but how is that part determined?
So I'll go over it briefly because it can get really complicated, and for the purposes today, this is really high level. But when you printed, like when you saw your body graph, how there was a column on each side with different squares and symbols. The two numbers are taken after the numbers after the decimal point in the top two squares. So that's where they come from. And they have to do with the placement of the sun at your birth, at the exact time of your birth. That's the very low level, straight to the point answer, Gretchen. But
that's all I needed. Thank you.
I could go down a rabbit hole, so I don't want to do that.
No, that's perfect. I needed like the first grade response. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions? Because I'm sharing my screen, it takes me a minute to go through and see all the faces.
There's one in the chat for you.
Okay. Can you read it to me? Because I can't see the chat either.
Yeah. It says, I am a 5-1 MG and I am struggling with sticking to a schedule and finding a way of organizing all the inputs in my life.
Yes. Okay. So as a 5-1, you're going to see yourself, as we said back here, I'll go back just so everybody can see it. So you're going to know, and a lot of the 5s I work with, it is a lot of frenetic energy because you're just so busy. And then as a manifesting generator, you're just that much busier. Like your mind, your body is a very energetic place with lots of ideas. So you're going to run into that because you're going to have all these ideas. You're going to want to be out there doing them. The 1, though, is how other people see you. So they really see you as like the researcher, the investigator, the person that's there to teach them. So the best thing you can do as a manifesting generator that's a 5-1 is strategically start to think about how you can build a team. How can you add one person to your team that can help you get organized, help you brain dump all your ideas, and help you start to find the one. What's the one idea you feel is most important to start sharing? But you need to find help if you're an MG 5-1. That would be my first strategy, so that you can really hone in, because it's going to be super frustrating and you're going to get super angry if you can't share your ideas effectively and in the time frame that you want to. So you do need the support around that. So thank you. Excellent question. Any other questions?
Nicole, maybe looping a bit in on that question. I also happen to be a 5-1, and it's not specific to being a 5-1, but I think I'm just trying to kind of get a sense of, okay, the first number is how we know ourselves. The second number is how people perceive us. How do the two numbers interact or influence, or why is it important to know them kind of as a unit? Because it feels like as a 5-1, the internal is a lot bigger than like external? I don't know. That's just
Yes.
a kind of,
Yeah, that's a good question. So another way to think about it is that that first number, the way you see yourself, is really like your story, your personal story of what you feel you're here to do. Because that's the question, right? We all want to know, like, what are we here to do? How are we supposed to make an impact? Everybody asks what their purpose is. You know, I mean, that starts probably when we're pretty young. Like, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do in life? That's what the first number really looks at. The second number is, I like to think of the two numbers this way as well. So that's like what you personally feel like you're here to do. And then the second number is like what your sole purpose is, what you came here to do. That's why other people see it sometimes in us and we don't see it in ourselves, because those are some of just the innate personality traits, things we brought into the world, gifting that we have, that they do come so naturally to us that sometimes we just discount them. But truly, those are the things that we're given and we're born with to make the greatest impact and have the reach that we want to have. So what starts to happen over time, Monica, and I work with a variety of clients. So some are younger, some are older. The ones that are older, they can see where that second number has started to come in, like infiltrated different parts of their life. They have a better awareness once we talk about it. And then they can see how they intertwine. Does that help?
it kind of, I'm not sure I'm getting the difference between what I feel I'm here to do and what my sole purpose is. So the second number really is more about what I'm meant to do, and the first number is more about what I think I'm here to do, but may not be what I'm actually ultimately here to do.
Well, they both go together. They both go together. Another way to think of it is that the first number is what you consciously know you are here to do. And the second number is what you subconsciously know you are here to do. So the second number is almost like the hidden gifts that become aware to us over time. Both numbers influence your impact, if that makes it clearer for you. It's just the first number you're going to be able to identify so quickly. You know, they're going to be your go-tos, where the other numbers you learn through life experience or through hearing how other people perceive you. And then you start to know.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes, you know, like I'll talk to a client and they'll tell me like, oh, you helped me see this. Well, I never really thought I could help people see that. You know, that would be an example. But then if I dig into some of my human design, I'm like, oh, actually, that makes sense. Like I am here on some level to help people see that. I just didn't know it until someone reflected it back to me.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Excellent question. I love it. Other questions? Can you imagine? This is like only scratching the surface of human design too. I mean, and these are excellent questions. I'm loving it. Yeah, who else was going to speak? Sorry.
Nicole, can you explain again how the numbers relate to the type?
So the numbers don't relate to the type. Everybody's going to have their type, and then this is a profile number. So like I'm a projector. I think you're a manifestor, Gretchen. You could be a manifestor and I can be a projector, and we could have those same numbers. Okay, so they're kind of two separate entities. The way to look at it is how they play. It's almost like, how do they play together in the sandbox? If you're this type and these are your profile numbers, you know, how do those meld together so that you better understand yourself? And in the context of this masterclass, understand then how you want to present yourself and how you want to attract your ideal clients, if that makes sense.
And then how are the types determined again? Is that again like astrology, or that's something else?
No, that's based on the astrology, but placement of more than one planet at the time of birth.
Okay.
Okay.
Who figured this stuff out?
So There was a man who like received all of this like when he was on retreat. I will I'll email out to the group that signed up a really good like beginner's guide to human design, and it goes into like the history of it and all of those pieces so that you can read that. I mean, you can Google it too. But yes, it was someone that went into deep contemplation on a retreat and received information.
Or is this something that's been around for like a billion years, or like we're just hearing about it in the Western Hemisphere, or what?
No, it was developed in the late 1980s. So it has been talked about, I think, in different circles, but it's just been coming, like more coaches are using it, more people are studying it. If you really go out there and look, there's definitely like people that have developed offshoots of human design that I wouldn't necessarily subscribe to, without doing the proper research. So you may see a little debate around that, but the original teachings from then and the original charting system like still hold true today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions before we move on? These are great. I love interactive audiences. All right. And let me skip ahead, go back here. So what I want to do now is I just want to give each of you a little time to think about your type and your profile, what we talked about. I want you to come up with like 2 or 3 things you're going to try that are different than what you've been doing in your business based on what you've learned today. So just 2 or 3, they can be really simple, but maybe it's something you've never tried before. How are you going to take more aligned strategic action now that you know a little bit more about yourself and how you're perceived by your potential audience? So we've gone through and we've defined, as I promised in the beginning, this is that alignment part. And feel free, if you have questions as you're thinking it through, unmute and ask. But I want to make sure everybody walks away with at least 2 or 3 things they can try that feel easy, feel different, feel repeatable.
I was gonna type in, but it'd be easier just to say it. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like because I've been doing this with you for a few weeks and watching other trainings and other groups and stuff, and been reading. I actually found a book on Kindle that's free about human design, but I feel like this gives me more alignment and permission, if that makes sense, and reinforcing what I've been doing, but I've been feeling it's not. And so it just makes me feel more aligned and attracted to going forward. And I feel like as my zone of genius, the second number 1, I'm not good at asking questions, but I'm a natural, like I probably spend more time reading and researching every single day than I have. So I need to balance that with asking more questions.
Yes. Well, I love that. And so you can see that it feels aligned, but you're starting to make those tweaks, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, this part works for me, but I could tweak this part based on what I've heard today and the other studying you've been doing on your own. And, that's so important. But you had to hone into the bigger piece that was aligned before you could make the tweaks. And so many times for all of us as coaches or consultants or solopreneurs, we're just like watching the YouTube video, trying the thing that we saw the other person try, on Facebook or on our social media. And we're just like grasping sometimes without a true plan. Some of it feels icky, like we don't want to do it. So really honing in on like, this is my unique gifting. This is my zone of genius. This is what comes easy to me. And then using that, as the vehicle to get your message out to your people is so important. And nobody likes to feel frustrated at the end of the day. Like, well, I tried this, nobody liked it. right? We start that negative self-talk, and then we talk ourselves out of trying. We talk ourselves out of showing up again the next day. And us not showing up, there's somebody sitting at home that like needs to hear what we need to say. There's somebody out there that's just like been praying for the truth bomb you're about to drop on them, whether it's on social media or a blog or a podcast. So just remembering that sometimes can be the motivation too, that the people we're meant to reach, they're really like, they're closer than we think. We just have to reimagine our strategies around it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
You had answered my question about being a manifesting generator 5-1. And
yes.
I was wondering, is it better to, because I am like, everything about me is, I am a nutrition professor, and I just launched a membership, and everything about me is serving and teaching and researching and serving, and I mean, just this, I'm aligned in that. But I don't know, for this new adventure, does it make sense as far as marketing to market thinking about my 5 or my 1?
I would market thinking about both, okay? Because when you market through the 5, that's what you already recognize really well about yourself. When you're marketing through the 1, you're marketing to what people expect from you or what they already feel they know about you. So as that 1, as that investigator or researcher, people in your circles really view you as the expert and the authority. So you don't want to give that up. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you're including that in the way you show up, in the way you market, in the way you approach your target markets, if that helps you.
Okay. I'm just trying to think about when you said something new, and I was like, I don't know what is new, because I already do all of that, and I don't know. Yeah.
So is there anything you've been studying, any type of expertise, any areas you're growing in that maybe you haven't really started to leverage yourself as an expert or an authority in those areas?
Yes and no. I don't want to confuse people, because I have a launching, like a launch for a founding membership, and it's just between Monday and this Friday. So I want to be real clear about that, but I haven't necessarily gone crazy about doing that on social media. I was marketing more to my email list, because I'm a little nervous to put, I don't know, just put it out there to just the masses.
Yes, but that's probably a limiting belief that you can't put it out to the masses. So that's your new thing. You can market on social media about your upcoming membership.
All right, I will do it. I did a little Facebook or a little Instagram live this morning from my garden in the front yard, and I mentioned it, and I said, check my bio. So that's the first little step, but I haven't done any graphics or anything. So I should probably do that.
Yes. Or just keep doing video. Just say whatever you want to say about it in video. It won't even take you nearly as long as making the graphic.
Yeah,
and
very
it'll
true.
get more views. More people will watch it.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do 2 more today.
All right. Yay. I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else with any shares, or did you get to jot down 2 to 3 things that you're going to try that you haven't tried yet? I'm thinking so. I'm hoping so. All right. All right, so I did promise at the beginning of the call, I am going to share some information about how to work with me beyond the masterclass. But like I said, for anyone that is feeling like that they're good with what we covered in the content today, you are free to leave the masterclass. I appreciate you being here, but for anyone that would like to hear about what I have going on in my world next, and a different way to work with me and go a little bit deeper into human design, you're totally welcome to stay on, and I will go over all of that. So thank you so much. So the big thing I am launching is called Client Attraction Academy. This will be kicking off on August 1st. I am super excited. It has been on my heart for a long time, and it's really me taking the culmination of, like I shared in the beginning, my practical training and my magical training, and bringing these together, like through my unique lens and my unique way of teaching, to really help other coaches, consultants, and solopreneurs attract their ideal clients, but also do work that like super lights them up, that they get up every day and they're like, wow, this is easy. Like the people are just coming to me, right? The money's just flowing in. Like this is exactly what I dreamed about and put on my vision board, but I've hit all these blocks. I really want to help other people bust through those blocks, because I know how pivotal that's been for me, being able to transition out of a full-time job and solely do and work my business. So these are the details. It'll be a 6-month program. And like I said, it'll be kicking off August 1st. Each month, we're going to focus on a specific business concept. So this is the practical, okay? Because I'm all about the practical and then the magic side of it, because I think we need both of them together. When those two energies come together, great things happen. So, you can expect things like a deep dive into marketing, a deep dive into business systems, a deep dive into the technology that we use in our business. But the other part that will be super unique is that as we tackle each business concept, we will look at that business concept and how it relates to your specific human design. So your type, your profile, the other deeper pieces of human design will also be covered. So you'll kind of be learning human design as we're talking about each of these things. But what I really want people to walk away with each month is a very individualized, personalized experience about the business concepts, about their human design, and then about the strategies that they're going to use to grow their business and attract their ideal clients, so that it just feels easy and it flows. So the other piece to this, along with the business piece and the human design piece, I will also have specific mindset work built into every month. So that will look like journaling, meditations, affirmations, journeying, using light hypnosis tracks, emotional freedom technique or tapping. We're going to use all those things to overcome the blocks that you may have around your business and really moving forward. And so I feel like that's something different too. I've learned all these things in different masterminds, different programs. I've never gone to a program where they actually intermixed all of them, and offered a solution where all of these pieces come together. And so, what I envision with this program is that it's really the opportunity for anyone, that owns their own business, to build a business that's aligned to your design and gifting. And then, like I said, each month I want you to be able to take action. I want you to take the knowledge and then feel empowered within yourself to go take those actions, so we can cheer you on. We can see the steps you're taking, to not even so much grow your business, but do the work that lights you up, so that at the end of the day, your cup isn't, completely drained, that it's still full and you still have a lot of excitement about the work and the way you serve in the world. So what you'll get in the program is access to my online learning portal. That's all through Kajabi. There will be 2 live coaching calls each month, 90 minutes. Those will be recorded and then housed in the online portal. So if you can't be present live, they will always be available to you. There will also be additional self-paced learning materials that relate to the content for that month within the portal. I will be bringing in monthly expert speakers each month, some on the practical business strategies, some more on the magical strategies that I know from some of my different circles. So there'll be a lot of extra, content, not just for me. Like, I always have a coach of some sort. And so I know that I can't be the sole provider of all the content, but I can definitely coordinate and make sure the right experts are in front of the people that are in my program, so that you're really benefiting from the breadth of expertise out there. The other thing I'm going to offer everyone that comes into the program is the opportunity to share your own expertise. I really view this as a huge network of solopreneurs, coaches, and consultants that have so much to share with the world, and we should start by sharing it with each other and have it be a natural networking community. So of course, there'll be the private Facebook group. everyone will get a 1-hour one-on-one coaching session with me at any point they choose and schedule during the 6-month program. I am moving away from doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, so this is an added bonus. And then the other thing I'm going to have available is access to vetted virtual assistants, web designers, branding specialists, and even more. You would have to pay for that and add in it for an additional fee. However, I want to make sure, as everyone in here is figuring out what their zone of genius is and what their zone of genius is not, that they have people and resources available. So like we were saying before, if you need that support, I've already vetted these people. You don't have to go hunt them down. So I know they'll be easy to work with, and I know they'll be aligned to the program and what the goals are for the program and for the participants in the program. So the final details are that the regular price of the program will be $9,997. For the next 3 days, though, I am offering the 6-month program for 50% off. So that's $4,999. And yes, there are payment plans. I'm always the person that likes the payment plan too. So I am sure to have that in place for anyone that's interested. And then I have a few bonuses if this is piquing your interest at all. So the first 3 people who sign up and pay in full in the next 3 days will receive an advanced human design session with me, and then on the go Voxer coaching with me for the entire 6 months of the program. And then the first 3 people who sign up on a payment plan will receive a basic human design session with me. So those are some added values for the people that want to take action right away. So there are a few ways you can sign up now. For those of you, and I've taken into consideration all the different human design types because you can't share a product after you've just talked about human design and not take into consideration how everybody's feeling internally when they think about making any type of investment. So I do have, for the people that are like my manifesting generators and generators that are like, it's a hell yes for me. I just know this is something I need in my life. There is, Holly's going to be dropping links in the chat, by the way. There is a link for the 50% discount, pay in full, in the next 3 days. That link will be available. If you are someone that likes the payment plan option, there will be a payment plan link. I decided to set it up where for the payment plan link, you just put $100 down in the next 3 days, and then we will talk privately about what your payment plan needs to be. I'm happy to set up different types of payment plans for different people. So I'm a big believer in, you can't just say 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you know what I mean? That doesn't work for everybody. So if you're interested and that's just the hang up that you're having, please, let's just have a conversation one-on-one. You can save your spot, you know, with $100, and then that $100 will be deducted from your payment plan. And then anyone who's interested and doesn't want to like lose out on the 3 days of the discounted pricing, I do just have a save my spot $100 deposit. This is going to be refundable. This is crazy. I know a lot of people would say I shouldn't do this, but I know I'm going to have maybe some projectors, some reflectors, some other people that are just like, oh, I think I want to do it. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I need time to think about it. And so I just want you to be able to save the discounted pricing. So if you use that link, you just put, it'll be for $100. But if we have a one-on-one discussion and you feel like it's not going to work for you, I will refund that completely to you. No strings attached, no questions asked. But I am a 4-6. Those are my numbers. So I am all about my network. And I really like to meet people where they're at and be of the highest service. So even if we talk and it's something you don't want to do, guess what? I'm still happy because I just added a new person to my network. So for me, it's always a win-win to increase that network and to have that one-on-one time with people. So those are the different ways that you can become involved in the Client Attraction Academy. And now I'll open it up to any questions anyone may have about the program itself.
So Nicole, it starts August. Are you going to be having just everybody signed up by August and it goes from August through the end of January and then that's it? Or can people come aboard later?
No, so it will be consecutive. My plan now is to launch this. There's already 3 people signed up because any of my current clients, I went ahead and gave them an early offer a couple weeks ago as it was planned out. So I do have 3 people in. So we will definitely kick off August 1st. So anyone that's been on the masterclass today has the opportunity to join and start with us August 1st. My plan is probably to launch it again, maybe 3 months in so that the groups overlap. Haven't completely decided that yet though, Sarah. So, but great question. But yes, this will start August 1st and go the 6 months consecutively. Anytime there's holidays, I will be sure there are no live calls, the week of holidays, and that will just have like recorded content for people to consume at their own pace during those weeks. So thank you. Good question. Other questions from anyone? All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I just want to thank you all for being here today. To all my friendly faces and friends, I appreciate your support so much. You've been on this journey with me, and it's just a dream come true to host this masterclass today and to be with all of you. And thank you to Holly for jumping in and helping me with letting people in and taking care of the chat. So thank you so much. And there'll be some email follow-ups coming out, and you can be sure to share the replay once that's emailed out to anybody in your network that you think would benefit. So thank you. Bye.